That's good. Is it recording? I think it is. I think that's good. Thank you. All right, so today we're going to be reading a book called Mountain Wedding by Faye Gibbons. Yeah, this is like an interesting book, right?
Wait, what? Why are they mean to each other?
I guess we're just going to have to find out, right?
Yeah.
All right, so first we're going to take a picture walk, all right? Because I want to see what you think is going to happen in the story. What? This is the very first picture.
That's a lot of kids.
That is a lot of kids. Why do you think there's so many kids? Why?
Because they're probably in a class.
Probably in a class. Okay. All right. So then, oh, they're bees. Is it bees? That doesn't seem very good either, does it? No.
Those
Bees
look
are-
like stinger bees.
Mhm.
Or honeybees.
What about this picture?
Have you ever heard of it? They're being mean to each other. What?
That's not about
The one right there, her face, looks like her telling the kids.
It's kind of like maybe a mom telling her kids to straighten up
Might
or
be a
else.
humongous family. They might just be at their
Oh, there are those bees again, guys. Look.
Where are the bees?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They're gonna get stung and they're gonna say, ow, ow, ow. One already got stung.
Oh, look. What's happening there? Yeah, Autumn?
They're all fighting. The lady right there is trying to get them to stop fighting.
Uh-huh.
And then the dog looks hurt and the cat looks very angry. That guy got his mouth open. If a bee comes, it's gonna go right to his mouth.
You're right. Oh my gosh, there are so many more bees, and there are animals now.
Oh my goodness, that
Yeah.
dog. There's a dog and a cat. Look at the cat's chickens. Look at the cat. I feel bad for the dog and the cat.
Uh-huh.
I do too.
All right, so based on what you've seen so far, what do you think's going to happen in this book?
They're,
Yes, Rich?
they're gonna get stung and
Okay.
they're all gonna get stuck and they're gonna realize how mean they've been to each other.
Okay, that's a really good
Yeah,
prediction.
and if you freeze them, they won't sting you.
All right, so I'm going to read this book to you, but there are a few vocabulary words that I thought were pretty tricky, so I want you to give me a quiet thumbs
Are
up.
those them?
Yep, those are the words, so I want you to give me a quiet thumbs up when you hear it, all right?
What
So,
are those?
so it's bursting, scowling, frayed, and bellowed.
Afraid, like afraid?
No, we'll find out. Mountain Wedding by Faye Gibbons.
What if you don't remember?
I remember. All right, so remember, these are the words that you're listening for. It was spring in the mountains when Mama married Mr. Long. All over North Georgia, dogwoods were bursting into bloom, and mockingbirds were courting and mating and feuding over nesting places. They weren't the only ones fussing. Me and my brothers and sisters were fighting the children of the widower who was trying to take our father's place. All right, so we heard bursting. Does anybody think that they know what bursting means? Yes?
Does it mean they want to try to make them not marry?
So we're just talking about bursting. So that could be a definition. Did you have your hand up? No? Does anybody else have any ideas of maybe what bursting means?
I mean,
Okay.
bursting means like it bursts, like it means that you're really sad. It means that you're really sad about something that's happening.
Okay, that's a pretty good prediction. That's really good for inferring, because what we're focusing on today is inferring, all right? So inferring just means that we're making an educated guess, and we're using, our context clues in the book to figure out what a word means when we don't know what it is. So it seems like we don't know what the word bursting means. Bursting means that it comes in abruptly, all right?
Like fast?
Yeah, like fast, like poof, like that, all right?
Yeah, and bursting also.
Like a burst, too much candy at Halloween, you had like bursts of energy. You were like, ah. Yeah?
Like you're like so wild.
So, yeah,
You're
so right.
And
Right.
also, like, if you're going so fast, that means burst.
Mm-hmm. So bursting just means that something breaks open suddenly.
Like,
Yeah.
like
Right.
if somebody,
Like, yes, like flowers. So in our
no,
book,
fireworks.
yeah,
And
fireworks
also,
burst.
like if somebody goes off, like flowers, and so it's the airplane.
So in our book, we can tell what bursting means because our book says North Georgia dogwoods are bursting into bloom. So you know how flowers are buds and they open up in the flowers? That's them bursting because they open up. Okay? All right.
Like an egg hatch.
Yeah, sort of.
Okay.
At the preacher's house that day, we stood in 2 scowling lines. Mr. Long's 7 in their best overalls and hand-me-down dresses, and the 5 of us Circes in our mended city clothes. Larry Ray, Hattie, Bonnie, me, and Robert eyed them across the preacher's yard. They made faces. We made faces back. I was the only one Mama caught. Mandy, she said. Well, you were right. She was getting onto her kids. So, the other word we heard was scowling. Does anybody know what scowling might mean? Katie Rep?
Scowling means that like you're being mean to another person,
That's really good.
and if you make a mad face at them and they're not being, they're not acting like they're supposed to.
Rich?
Like their mom's getting onto them because they're being mean to each other and they don't know each other and they're not friends yet, so they're just being mean.
So scowling means that you're frowning in a mean or bad-tempered way, right? So like if your mom gets mad at you, she'll probably scowl at you, right? Right?
My mom like says when I talk back to her, she says I forgot what she says, but in a mean voice.
Mm-hmm. So we can tell because in our story it says we stood in 2 scowling lines. So Rich, you were right. We can infer.
In line.
So
They were in line.
yeah, they were lined up. You know,
So
you see
if
that they're in a line. So we can infer.
They might be just a new family.
Mm-hmm. But they're not very happy with each other, are they? Our characters just aren't happy with each other.
Yeah, because I think it's because
Mama was all decked out in her best dress and Sunday hat with new ribbons to hide the frayed spots and a bunch of fresh flowers to cover a hole.
I heard frayed.
Yeah, you did. Good job. It was too short and smelled like mothballs, and he swatted at several honeybees circling Mama's hat, a seam ripped. The preacher and his wife inspected us all, and then looked at Mr. Long's wagon tied to a post at the well house. It was piled high with Long and Circe belongings.
What are belongings?
It's like, so like that hat is his belonging. It's his personal property. All right, so we heard
This is mine.
We heard frayed,
Frayed.
right? Frayed. So what do you think frayed means?
I don't know.
What do you think? Okay, Rich.
Does it mean that they don't like what they see and then like they're like trying to get them away from them? And this is the nutcracker. To them?
So frayed actually means that something is worn down, or like especially at the seams of
I
clothing.
really
Like
like the nutcracker.
so, you're like your clothing might be worn, you know.
Yeah.
So it just
Like
means it's
worn
old
out.
and worn out. Yeah. So we can tell that because it says that Mama's hat had frayed spots. So she was covering up the worn spots with ribbon, right?
And bees can easily get through ribbon.
The preacher cleared his throat and opened his Bible. "We are gathered here together," he began in his church voice. "Wait," said Mama, grabbing at my baby brother, Larry Ray, who had just thrown himself on top of Mr. Long's next to feed the youngest boy, Earl. The two of them were tumbling over and over in the dirt and rolled under the porch where they knocked into a big yellow tomcat. The cat hissed and a hound dog on the porch growled in reply. A cluster of chickens in the yard clucked in alarm.
Cluck, 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 cluck.
More honeybees arrived, while Mama and Mr. Long dusted off Larry, Ray, and Earl and lined us up all again. Bees whizzed around the wagon, and Mr. Long's mules backed up in their traces until the narrow post they were tied to strained and true.
Everybody.
That's just like blush. It's just a color on their face. Is everybody ready for the wedding? The preacher asked. No, answered all us children together. And that's the one thing we agreed on. But Mama and Mr. Long both said yes, so the preacher hunted for his place in the Bible. The yellow cat crawled from beneath the porch and patted his way across the yard with his tail erect.
What is erect?
It just means his tail was standing up. We are gathered together, the preacher began, just as a new cloud of honeybees came flying over the roof of the house and onto the porch. Suddenly the dog sprang to life. Yip, 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 he howled, leaping from the porch in a swarm of bees and racing across the yard. The chickens squawked and scattered, flapping in every direction. Claws spread, the rooster flew at the cat.
Everyone's angry.
Everyone's so angry.
Even the bees are angry.
Even the bees are angry.
The horses are angry.
Hissed the cat, making for the wagon in the yellow streak. He skidded on the wagon seat, sweeping off 2 hens before clawing his way over a mattress to the top of the wardrobe. All his children whooped with laughter. Suddenly, the mules lunged backward in the traces. The post snapped, and the well house crashed to the ground. The mules raced around the yard, spilling a box, a ladder, back chair, 2 bags out of the wagon, before galloping up the road, trailing a plume of dust. Nobody was laughing now. Whoa! Bellowed Mr. Long, running after the wagon. My furniture, cried Mama. She hitched up her skirt and lit out too. So what do you guys think bellowed means?
Does it mean like stop and like stop and don't be afraid?
What do you think it means? Screaming, okay. So bellowed actually means that you shout something in a deep, loud roar. Right? Yeah, and so we can tell what this means.
That was a gingerbread story.
Yeah.
Or a big war.
Uh-huh, it was. Good job. All right, so we can infer what bellowed means because Mr. Long goes, whoa, and he's yelling at the horses, right?
Because they might be his horses.
They are his horses, and he
And
doesn't want to get them
and
away.
that's his property.
Uh-huh. Nobody answered and nobody stopped. We ran past woods and pastures and newly furrowed fields, gathering up a trail of Long and Circe belongings as we
Okay,
went.
I think they're getting along. Because they're all.
Hattie scooped up our checkerboard and their dipper. Robert picked up our bedsheet and their clock.
What's a mention?
A bedsheet? It's sheets that like go on your bed, like when you sleep at night. The Longs grabbed up their tablecloth and their water bucket, our books and their lantern. I ran back to get the youngest Long, Mary Lucy, who had stumbled and skinned her knee.
I heard Betsy.
Betsy?
What is?
Oh, Betsy's not one of our words. That's bellowed. Good job.
What is
Scared means you're afraid of something.
no, like skinny? It means
Skin.
that things like
She fell and she hurt her knee. Yeah?
like blood.
Uh-huh. She put her dusty little hand in mine and we ran on together.
Come on.
By the time we got to the creek where the mules had finally stopped, we were all mixed and mingled into one big dirty group. Mr. Long's youngins looked at us Circes and then at one another, and then all of us began to laugh. The preacher arrived as Mr. Long tied the mules to a tree near the edge of the creek. "Are we ready for the wedding?" he panted.
Everybody cried.
"Yes," said all his children. "Yes," said Mama. "We are finally gathered together." And we were.
And now they're getting along.
The end. Look, they are all getting along, guys.
Yep.
Wow, you guys did a great job in that book. We used our background knowledge to infer what words meant. You know, like bursting and scowling and afraid and bellowed.
There's two B words.
There are 2 B words. Good job. All right, so now we are going to create a sentence about the story. We're going to do a dictated sentence like you do during reading
There's
groups.
some paper back there.
Thank you. All right, so everybody needs a pencil.
I'm getting cold.
Take your jacket off. So I want you to turn and talk to a neighbor and come up with a sentence that we can put together that uses one of these vocabulary words now that you know what they mean.
Alright, what are all those words again?
All right, so bursting means something opens suddenly. Scowling means to frown meanly. Afraid, like mean.
I am
Like this.
I am bursting.
Afraid means something is worn down, and bellowed means you say something in a deep roar. All right, so turn and talk to your neighbors. Come up with a sentence.
Wait, what is that mean?
This one?
Yeah.
Bursting.
My mom is bursting tears. My mom
That's good.
is bursting.
So this is going to be about the story, okay?
My mom is bursting. I am bursting. My mom is bursting tears.
That's actually a really good one.
She's really
The mom in our story might have burst into tears because, her kids finally got along.
Yeah. Probably. I got that. Because I put my clothes.
All right, guys,
Wait, where's
let's
my
put
pencil?
our names.
Where's my pencil?
It's right there. Somebody's fell on the floor. Oh, nope, that one was mine. Thank you. Welcome. Yep.
Look, I just made tunnel.
Okay. All right. So everybody write your names on your papers, please.
I already did that.
Good job.
Okay. But she only has to do CR.
Because her name's Katie Rell, and nobody else has that name in here.
And this has two.
All right, guys. I actually have a sentence that I think is going to be good. Katie Rell, you mentioned a mama. I think you mentioned mama too. So I think that the sentence that we're going to say is, all right, we're going to count it on our fingers, all right? All right. The hat Mama wore was frayed and old. All right, what vocabulary word did I use?
Frayed and burst.
I used old. No, old. Frayed. Frayed and old. All right?
Wait, old or
Wait, no, that wasn't a vocabulary word. Frayed was our vocabulary word. All right, so let's say it together again, and we're going to count again because it's 8 whole words. The hat Mama wore was frayed and old. All right? So you think you guys got it?
I don't know.
Okay, well, let's try writing it. The hat Mama wore. The All right, and I'm going to work on writing it myself so that you can see how big kids write it, okay? So sound out all the words yourself.
Hat. This one. And you always start with a capital letter. Speak out a word.
Yes, you do always start with a capital letter. Good job.
Oh.
Thank you. All right, so what do we always put at the end of our sentence?
Period. Wait, that's right. What was the sentence?
Okay,
I'll sit. I've got my class with them. Miss, you're going to take this right here.
all right, so finish writing your sentences, please.
Oopsie daisies.
All right, let's finish writing our sentences, please.
What?
On the carpet or?
Yes, please. I'm actually recording an interactive read aloud for class. It's okay. Everybody, if you would, please sit on the carpet and be extra quiet.
All over his face. All over his face.
All right, I'm recording a video right now, so let's
Oh,
sit on the carpet and be extra quiet.
Okay, I need everybody to sit on the carpet quietly. Shh.
I would like Grayson to start the quiet game, please. The cat mama wore was frayed and
She just said not to interrupt her. Sit down.
was,
What is that?
that's mama, was frayed, so you can find frayed right here. Yes. Was frayed, so you wrote was. Now write frayed, so you can find frayed right here.
Can we start with capital?
No, you want to do a lowercase letter because you only use capitals and, nouns and at the beginning of your sentence.
What are nouns? Let's start with
And
what are nouns?
nouns are people, places, and things. And old.
What was the second?
The hat Mama wore was frayed and old.
Like
Frayed.
that. What's that? Like
And
that?
just like that. Yep, that's an A. Old. Old. Like an old person. Or an old stinky cheese. Old. Old. So let's sound out old. Like there's not an R. Old. Old. You write what you think it is.
How do you spell old?
You sound it out. You write what you think it is. Once you finish, please catch a bubble.
Hey.
So when you're finished, pass me your pencils and your papers. And then I will show you how it was supposed to be written, okay? The big kid way. Yep, good job. You forgot your period at the end. Some people did so good. You guys were awesome. So today we talked about how we can infer and figure out vocabulary in the book based on what we're reading, right?
I don't think I did BD.
Do you feel like because you learned this vocabulary that you understand now how the characters feel? I know some of you predicted that the kids weren't very happy, but you eyes on me. But you guys feel like now that this vocabulary, that reading the book, you understand better how the characters feel. So they were upset, right? Were they mad at each other?
Oh, yes. But at the end, they got used to at the end, but they got used to the new family.
They did. All right, so the big boy way of writing, or big kid way of writing this was the hat Mama wore was frayed and old. So we spelled old, O-L-D, but you guys did a really good job
Oh, I
spelling
think
that out.
I did. I think I didn't do it.
All right, so now you guys can go back to the carpet. Thank you guys so much.